Hey gun people, let's talk about communication during revolutions and kind of communication process, etc. Got the horses out there. I'm going to leave them in the background. I don't know if they'll come up and say hi, but I'm going to go out here and talk about communication. So communication is an essential thing in a rebellion. Okay, it helps rally the troops. Literally and metaphorically, it tends to motivate people if you can have comm. You let them know what's going on. You let them understand that things are going good or things are going bad or how we need to change our tactics. There's all kind of things that communication you need in any type of military or tactical situation. There has to be communication. So we're going to need communication. Unfortunately, we're not going to have it because the government, who controls communication, is going to shut everything down and block it. Obviously, if you go against the people in power, they're going to use that power to try and defeat, stop, slow, prevent any push against them. I mean, that's just normal. It's not our government. It's every revolution. It's every, pushback, coup, whatever. There's always issues with communication. Okay? And then without communication, the flow of information, if you don't have reliable information, rumors fester and they grow. And you don't want rumors, because rumors, anybody in the military that's ever been in military cops, once you get rumors going, they go out of control. Oh, so-and-so said this. Oh, man, we're going to get screwed. Oh, we're going to get beat. Oh, man, we don't have enough ammo. Oh, the supply lanes are down. Oh, shit, they're cutting the budget, and now we're only going to have 5 people, and we really need 20. And our air support got cut, and, we're going out on this mission, and now we don't have air. And the rumors just grow and grow, and next thing you know, before you ever get there, your guys are like, shit, we're screwed. You don't want that in any type of conflict or tactical situation. You want to be, hey, we got the advantage, we're smarter, we're staying on focus, we're concentrating on our mission, we're completing the mission, and screw the rest of the bullshit. Politics, a lot of shit's out the window. The mission. What's the mission? What's the mission in a rebellion? Normally, it's to push back against tyrannical or over-oppressive government, or a government that's lost touch with the people, or a government or king or ruling class that has said, you know what, we're taking everything from you people are stupid and you ain't have a choice. And normally, you get that way by giving the government more power, you give them your guns, you give them control over everything, and then generations later, your kids have to clean up the shit because you caused it, and which is exactly what we're doing now. We're giving the government everything for children and generations ahead that are going to have to live with. They're not going to have a country, they're not going to have a culture, they're not going to have a government. Our founding fathers will probably be outlaws, it'll be forbidden for them to speech. I mean, it's just crazy the way our country's going, and it's all mainly because of damn liberals, if you ask me. So what type of comms am I talking about? There's all kind of type of communication. There's land communication where you walk to somebody. Pony Express was communication for a while. You can send a plane over with a banner. You can do things that's called a dead drop. Person to person, obviously, that's one secure way, but the problem with person to person is, can it be intercepted? Or when two people meet, the enemy knows you're meeting and transferring information, so they snag both of you or they kill both of you to get information. So the other side, just like the people on one side of a rebellion is trying to get information and stop communication from the suppressors, government, kings, whoever they're going against, they are also trying to do the same thing to the other side. They have to get communication. So communication, there has to be something in place now on how to communicate, because when and if there is a revolution, if it's starting, and like I said, I think it's already started, it's been going on for years. Our first revolution went on for years, and people, until it got big enough, between the Boston Massacre, the Boston Tea Party, and the Stamp Act, that just blew it to a head, and everybody says enough is enough. But before then, there was a lot of pushback. Kind of like now, some people are starting to wake up and push back a little bit on the government. Not the liberals. The liberals want to give government everything, more power, give them the guns, and they think government is good. That's my biggest issue with liberals, is they want to run on this platform of freedom, and yet they want to give government power or everything. When government has power, freedoms are gone. You can't have a ruling class unless they have the power to take away your freedoms and control you, because that's the only way they can control you. Is they threaten you. They threaten to lock you up. They threaten to fine you. They threaten to take your money. They threaten to charge you with false crimes. They set you up. They do things that they can do because of the power. So those are some of the things. There's also person-to-person mail delivery. You can have meetings. If the grid goes down or something, you can have solar. They have crank radios. I have a crank shortwave radio that I can crank up my little battery, plus it's solar. Let's see, what else we got here? So you'll be able to receive information, but not necessarily transmit on a shortwave radio. Then you have, your CB radios, your your little two-way radios for the neighborhood. I've showed you my radios like that a couple times. You've got the ham radios. The ham radios now is taken over by damn liberals. It's freaking ridiculous. I'm on a ham website on freaking YouTube, and the first clue that somebody is a liberal is they want to say we don't talk politics, because liberals can't defend their position. The only way they can defend their position is to stop the other side from stating their position, because then it sounds reasonable. They look like idiots, so they go, let's not talk politics. They're all about pushing their agenda, but they want to tell anyone that wants to talk against them, let's not talk politics. So you go to any ham radio site on YouTube, and the first thing they'll say is no politics discussed. To me, that tells me it's run by liberals, and if you watch the people, they're all about government is great and the rules and we run it. And I mean, the ham radio, I tell you what, man, you talk about an arrogant group of jerks, and that's the ham radio operators. So I'm sure there's some good people out there. Somebody go, I'm not a jerk, I got to ham it. You know what? It's good that you know, and it's good that you're able to communicate, but my impression of the ham radios are bad. So you're going to have radio or ham information. You also will have misinformation. And misinformation is key during any conflict. You want to confuse your enemy. Okay, liberals are great about that. They control the media. They put out false facts. They blame the gun instead of blaming the person. So they put out this misinformation, and they get their message out to where it makes everybody either confused or they just believe it because they're not hearing anything else, and they're like, well, that's the only thing I got to hear. What can I go on? So they're just idiots. They don't question. They don't critical think and say, that really doesn't make sense. That's not even reasonable. Why would you say something so stupid to me? Do you think I'm that ignorant? The answer is yes. Liberals think most people are ignorant, especially because they're dealing with other liberals who normally are ignorant. So, watch out for the misinformation, and also as an opposing force, you want to put out your misinformation. If I'm in any type of rebellion, you want to give the enemy a thing, you want to drop some false information on them. You want to let some messages be intercepted. You want to put things out and let them find it that, hey, we're getting beat, we're losing people, we're about to go down, we're out of ammo, we're this, we're going to attack this place when we're actually planning on attack this place. So that misinformation in combat is huge, and it's used all the time in all major wars. I think I'm going to get to it later, but since I'm here, in World War II, we did such a great misinformation. We had dummy paratroopers with little recorders on them that kind of talked and made noise, and they threw these fake parachute troopers out of planes. And they had put this misinformation that we're going to mass a force here, and we're going to attack and move this way. So we flew all these planes over and dropped all these fake paratroopers, so all the spotters from the enemy is like, man, we saw the paratrooper and everything, it must be true. So they moved all their forces to fight what they thought was an opposing force, when in fact, we were amassing people somewhere else and hit them from behind. So misinformation is a good thing to use, and all conflicts use it. And you need to use it if you're doing a rebellion against a king or an oppressive government. And of course, government will always have comm, and they will always put out propaganda. They will put out things to demoralize you. They will put out things to make them look good, just like we have now in the media. When was the last time government got up and went, man, we really screwed the pooch on that, and we dropped the ball, and our police department failed in this area, and our Department of Justice failed, and the FBI failed, and the judge failed, and our politicians failed. Have you ever heard that in your life? No! Because they're going to sit up there and lie and tell you we're in control, we're working together, we've got great cooperative services, and we came in and we drew chalk lines around all the dead bodies and made you safe. I mean, it's just, look at the news with that critical eye. I'm always kind of pushing that. So, and another thing for communication is if you set up what's called, we used to call it a recall roster in the military. And basically it's a flow chart to get massive people notified very quickly. So what would happen is I was the supervisor, team leader of a 44-man team that could be deployed anywhere in the world within 24 hours. So as that team leader, I was on top of the list. So if our unit got activated or anything happened, they would call me first. And then I would call two of my either squad or flight team leaders, whoever the next two guys were, and I would make 2 phone calls and say, hey guys, we just got activated, get everybody in, start the recall. Those 2 people would call 2 people, now we have 4 people. Those 4 people would call 2 people, now we have 8 people. Those 8 people would call 2 or 3 people, and now we have pretty much within 8 or 10 phone calls, we have the whole 44-man team with maybe a few alternates responding very quickly. So if you do some sort of situation, if you have a group of people that you're talking to, if you know that something's going on, or you have a bug out plan, or you have to go somewhere, you should have some sort of communication recall roster or a roster of notification where, hey, when I call you and you on this, your job is to get these 3 people notified. And their job is to get these 3 people notified, etc. And you can notify a lot of people very quickly because it compounds every time you contact somebody, more people are getting contacted. So, and then of course, you know, now we have cell phones, satellite phones, social media, CBs, two-way radios, we have newspapers, we have books, magazines, webcam, videos, US mail, UPS, FedEx, Morse code, telegraph. I mean, we have so many ways to communicate now. You know what? Government doesn't like that. I know it's a news flash, people won't believe it. They don't like an informed public. When you're too informed, you question authority. You're educated. And that's not good because then it takes away their power. They can't do their trick and look here while we're doing this here. They can't sign this bill and call it the Patriot Act when in fact it's this big and it strips everything from all patriots and it destroys freedoms. They can't call it the Freedom Act when in fact it's destroying freedoms. So when you're informed and you have this information, that's not good. That's not good for the people in power. It's not good. They don't want you to be able to read the bills. We have bills that are 1,400 pages long. They don't want you. People go, why do they make that bill so long? How do they expect it to? They don't expect people to read it. That's their point. We keep you dumb and we flood you with so much. That's an old lawyer trick. Lawyers withhold information. If you sue them and you want something and you ask for discovery of a document, they will hide one document that they don't want you to find in a bus full of 500 cases of documents on the hope that maybe you won't go through every page and find the one document they don't want you to find. So, I mean, hiding information like that and giving mass information is almost as bad as giving no information because people just won't read it. Governments figure that out and they use it against the people. So, all those different types of communication here now, those are all going to go down. And what we're going to end up going back to is the old style of communication, smoke signals. Cave paintings, rock art, where you paint something on a rock and you leave messages where people travel. Hand signals and tactics. You know, the military, we all know with the enemy, if you look down, that's the enemy. If you point and look, okay, if I go like this, that means I see an enemy right over there. If I go over here, I see an enemy over here. So down thumb is the enemy. This is freeze, that means do not move. This is a wedge formation, a file formation, a column formation. So there's different hand signals that we use during combat. Ceasefire is this for silent, because when guns are firing, if you're yelling ceasefire, a lot of people can't hear you. But if they can see you and you're doing this, it means cease fire. Stop firing so we can hear, reassess what's going on. So you've got to have some sort of hand signals that everybody's on the same sheet. I say use what the military uses because then you understand what they're giving to their people. You always want to know what the other side's giving, and if you use their signals, then you don't have to learn 2 different types. Because they're going to learn, if you try to create some massive, different, sneaky, secret squirrel shit on your side, they're going to figure it out and find it, and then they're going to have 2. So, you know what? Just study hand signals. I got some pictures on my webpage that I'll put in the description here that you can go to, and it's got the different hand signals that military uses. And the police use them also. So we're going to go back to cave paintings, rock art, hand signals, carrier pigeons, hard lines or direct lines. Direct line of communication is a pretty secure thing because the only way somebody can do it is they got to cut it and tap into it, and you always know where it's laid so you can go back and check to see if it's being monitored. So we're going to have to go back to that. And then of course we're going to go back to face-to-face communication. In any rebellion you're going to have to be able to talk to people. And in order to talk to people you're going to have to get to them. You're going to have to figure out a way to get to them safely without getting intercepted or snagged. And if you carry in a written information you're going to have to be able to destroy it or hide it or get rid of it in case you're captured. So there's going to be all these different things on how to do this. In 2009, which some people might go, man, that was a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago. But in 2009, a carrier pigeon delivered 4 gigabytes of information 60 miles away faster than it was able to be transferred over broadband. Now this was in South Africa, so obviously they don't have the technology, but a carrier pigeon is a very effective way of getting information. It's been used for years, over the centuries, and you know what? The militaries have trained hawks to attack carrier pigeons because we can stop information. So if you send a carrier pigeon with mission, I'm going to have a hawk that takes out any pigeons. So then if I know where you're launching your carrier pigeons, I'm going to sit pretty much on their path with my hawk, and every time you launch a pigeon, I'm going to have my hawk take out your pigeon. So you're always trying to circumvent the other side's comm process. During World War II, we did dead drops were sometimes located inside dead end. I talked about a dead drop. A dead drop is basically, you don't want to have 2 people that have intelligence in the same spot. So if I have a messenger or somebody sending my message, and this is the dead drop spot, and everybody knows that I'm going to come here, and when I come here, I fold down a computer when I leave a message. And then when somebody sees that computer down, they walk over and they know there's a message there. They'll put the computer back up, they'll receive the message. Now I know they received the message. And there's different ways to do dead drops. One of the most common ones is they have a little spike that you clamp into the ground. It's got a little piece of thing. You put a rock over it. You can hide it in a rock by a tree. Everybody knows where it's there, and you mark it. You either lay a branch, you lay a rock a certain way. In one of the movies they showed where you use a chalk line. Chalk was used for dead drops. When I put a chalk line here, that means there's a message. And the next guy that comes and gets the message, because he knows where it's at, he'll erase the chalk line. Then I know the message was received and he got it. When he drops his message off, he puts a chalk line. So I go back and go, hey, there's a chalk line. I must have a message. Then I go get it and I erase the chalk line. That way we're both never at the same spot at the same time, and unless the enemy knows where we're communicating, they can't do it. So, and I think Russia, did I do that dead drop? Let's see, message. In 2006, Russia and Britain were using electronic rocks as a dead drop. This is pretty cool. They had a rock that was a receiver and it actually stored information. Basically, there's a little bitty wireless rock that stored information. So I would come up with my wireless transmitter and I would just walk in range of the rock and stand there and enjoy the view. Meanwhile, while I'm enjoying the view, I'm downloading information of this rock. When I'm finished enjoying the view or smoking my cigarette, I throw it down and I leave. I never touch the rock, never look at the rock, never see the rock. Well, guess what? The other side comes by and he knows there's something at the rock. He goes there and he's got a transmitter. So he uploads the information while he's smoking a cigarette. The rock is uploading his. Now he leaves with his information. Nobody's touched the rock. So that's a little bit more technical and high class, but again, it's still the dead drop kind of thing. Dead drops are going to be a very common way to communicate because we're going to have to be able to talk and pass information. And when you're passing information, it's critical that neither or both of you get caught, because then you can both give information that hurts the cause. Or you'll have false information that you give them false information. But when you're interrogating somebody that you capture, a prisoner, you always have to assume and cooperate with usually 2 other sources on what they tell you, because you know they're going to lie to you. So you don't want to act on one of their, I'm sorry, don't hurt me, they're all attacking over here. And you move all your forces when in fact he's lying and they're moving over here. So you have to cooperate it and you understand that. But again, it's very dangerous to start connecting with people on a face-to-face basis. Common meeting places are going to be, stores, bars, transportation, buying places where you're selling goods, boats if you want to go out on a boat, buses, taxis, subways, wherever people can hang out to where it doesn't look like you're meeting is where people are going to meet and transfer information. Draft emails, right now in the communication, if you want to, some of the terrorists were using this, what you do is, so you don't actually send an email. When I type an email, it saves in my inbox. And if I don't send that, it's only on my server. So it never goes out to the World Wide Web. It's only kind of received, like if I'm using Yahoo or AOL, whatever. So if I don't send that, it's not like it's being, or if the FBI has a trap on my email and any sent emails they receive, if I don't send it, they're probably not going to get a clue that I typed out an email. Well, how they were communicating is I go to my email and I type out an email, but I don't send it. I save it as a draft, so it's only in my inbox, so it never goes out to the web. Well, guess what? Other people have the password to my email, because we all know that's how we transfer, so they log in Russia or somewhere else, open up my email, the email's never sent, and then they go to my saved or draft area in my inbox and they go, oh, here's a message. Then they delete it. and it's never been sent anywhere. The only ones that know are the people that has password and has access that email account. Now, obviously, there's a way to defeat that, and the government knows, but that's one way of using email. When I was working computer crimes and I was on the high-tech task force in Sacramento, we would joke around and send each other emails, and how we would send emails just in our office, so in case we thought the cops were, because cops are all paranoid and we didn't want them out on our shit, we would send emails, but we would highlight our email and make the print white. So when you open up an email, if it says Merry Christmas and that's all it says, there's a whole message there, but you can't see it because the writing is white and there's a white background. And then when the next person would open it, we would drag our mouse over top of it, change the font to blue, black, or whatever, and then the message would appear. So that's how that was just one way for us to send little minor emails. There's other ways. We used to also, for child porn, they would hide messages in child porn or in different things. And I think Al-Qaeda was doing that when we were fighting them. They were, since they were kind of like, oh, we don't do porn, we don't watch porn, porn wasn't really accessible, so they knew when they had porn, they would hide messages in it. And we used to play around with this and send each other messages or a photo and say, hey man, find a message in this photo. And if you blow up an image, if you got the right computer program, you blow up an image to where each pixel is, pretty big, I can write a message in one pixel, and then when I shrink down that image, all you see is the image. You don't see that one pixel. Now, what you do see, if you know what you're looking for, is that same image. If you look at the size of it, your size is going to be bigger because you have a typed message in it. But I can change that too by deleting a pixel somewhere else, and you will never see one pixel deleted. So that's another way, is to hide messages within pixels of pictures or within videos. And they're doing that. Emails sent with no visible print, books and codes. Of course, people have always been using books and codes. If you've got a book, and I'm carrying a book, and you know what book to look, and we have the same book. Well, when I send you a message, it'll just be numbers, and you'll know what the numbers is. Let's say the numbers is the page number, paragraph number, and the word number, or the line number. So I send you these numbers. It's on page, I'll put 27, because that's the page number. And then after 27, I'll put a comma, and I'll put 14. That means this line 14. And then I'll count the words, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll put 4. So when you get those letters and numbers, you know to go to page 27, line so-and-so, and that number, and that's one word of the message. And then I'll put the next word I'll pick from page 46, and line 27, and word 2. And then that's one way just to use numbers if we both know the book. And again, there's all kind of ways that people, if you look into hiding secret messages, on how people communicate, and those are going to have to come back, and we're going to have to use them. I'm losing daylight here. It's about 8:30. I thought I was going to keep daylight a little longer, but it's going kind of dead on me. They also have micro writing now, to where they can actually, when you buy a diamond, they actually engrave a serial number on that diamond with micro engraving. Your insurance will be cheaper if you have your diamond micro engraved, because it actually has a serial number on it that can't be seen unless it's some high-powered thing. Well, they have now micro writing, to where if me and you are communicating and we have to have a high-pressure magnifying glass, only we can read in this micro writing. Again, a little bit more high-tech. I don't think we're going to be using a bunch of high-tech stuff. Flash paper, bookies used to always use flash paper in the day. Hell, it's probably illegal now. The liberals probably outlawed anything that causes a flame. You might burn something down or kill somebody. But, you write something on flash paper, and then the cops come, you throw a match or you throw any spark in the flash paper like magicians, it just goes up in flames. There's no evidence. So a lot of bookies used to use flash paper because it was easy to get rid of the evidence very quickly, and cops couldn't do anything about it. Encryption, of course, there's always going to be crazy encryption that has to be decrypted. There's also dress signals. The way I'm dressed, if I walk by you and I'm going to meet you, if I tie my shoe a certain way, that could mean don't talk to me. If I tie it a certain way, it could mean meet me, or let's meet. Or it could be, you can develop different things so we can get a quick assessment. You have some sort of warning that if we pass or we're going to meet, it warns the other one that I'm either under duress, I'm being followed, or something. So, the way you dress or the way you carry, and the brush off is a very common way that most people, you always see two people passing each other and they switch the briefcase, or they bump each other and I pass you an envelope and we keep going, you pass me. They call that the brush off. That's a good way to make your contact quick, and unless you're both or one of you being followed, it's very easy to miss that unless you're watching very hard. So the brush off is a good way to pass information along. Let's see. In the 5th century BC, they tattooed the king who wanted to pass on a message. shaved his messenger's head, tattooed the message on the head, and waited for the hair to grow back, and then sent his guy. So if they caught him, it would look like he has no message. But the other side knew to shave his head to read the message. So, I mean, there's all kind of creative ways to get into hiding things. The governments are going to use these ways to prevent communication. They're going to shut down the net. They're going to shut down any communication. They're going to shut down cell phones. They're going to use those fake cell towers, a Stingray, to where it simulates as a real cell tower when it's actually FBI, or any government agency is actually tracking your location, where you're coming from, your message, your cell numbers, your SN numbers. They're gathering all this information from this fake cell tower. Well, where was I going here on that? Oh yeah, BART Police was the first one that did that. When I was in California, BART Police is the Bay Area Transit System, and they have their cops. Well, they ended up getting in a shooting, and there was a big riot. And they called in, and they had all cell phones shut down in the area. And that was a big stink back then, because like, wait a minute, you're interfering with FCC communication lines, and you can't do that, and the federal government owns these, and you've just stopped all cell phones. So there was a little bit of power struggle and conflict there, and I think now government has got together, and they do it all the time. It doesn't matter. They can shut down cell towers and completely isolate you. If I take hostages at my house, they're going to shut down my internet, my landline, my electricity, any water, any communication around here, all cell towers that I could reach or that anybody could call me, because they don't want me getting information out, and they don't want me to be able to communicate with anybody. Communication is key to tactics, and in any revolution, you're going to have to be able to consider that. The more you consider now, the easier it's going to be if it happens. Government's also going to monitor all comm. They're going to jam radios. They're going to put out false information and misinformation. They're going to pass out propaganda. They're going to drop leaflets from planes telling you to give up, or you'll be spared, or we're going to attack your family. Let's see. In Vietnam, they used to have a radio lady that would play on the radio, and you could only get one radio station in the middle of the war, so everybody listened to it. So they would play music that the GIs liked, but they had a Vietnamese passing signals. One, she was passing messages to the Viet Cong, our enemy. Two, she was saying, although she'd play music and guys want to hear music, she would come back with some anti-propaganda, you don't need to be here, you're going to get beat, you're against the people, you're murderers, you're So they would pass that information, but they tricked you in by playing music that, now the military always has their own radio station that they like to put out, but that's propaganda too. They're telling you everything's great and this general did that and our troops won here. So they're not telling you the truth either, because we don't want to demotivate. Sometimes the truth is demotivating, especially for liberals, because they live in such lies land. They're going to be seasoned radios. We're going to be, the revolutionaries are always got to get calm, so we're going to have to be seasoned radios. Anytime we're in any firefight, anytime we take out a government vehicle or a king's vehicle, if it's in another country or whatever, wherever a revolution is at, I'm talking in general, all revolutions follow these policies. You're going to want to seize their communications immediately. If you get in a firefight, any written documents, everything, you want to strip this guy down, take his equipment, his guns, his ammo, his radios, and any communication he has. Because now you have the ability to at least monitor. And then you can maybe get somebody who can rig it up to where it can become a jammer. Or we can change the frequency to where if we get another one, then we communicate and they can't hear us. So you're always seizing information and equipment from your enemy while you're fighting. You never just fight and leave the gun, the ammo, and all that other shit. You want to take everything. And guys just say that thing in the military, if you die first, we're splitting up your gear. Because if I go down and I got ammo, gun, and I got all the good shit, they're not just going to leave all that shit. We're on a mission. We're not getting resupplied. We need everything we get. We're going to take your shit. I'm taking everything you got. And everybody knew that. It was a big joke, but hey, it is what it is. So let's see. We're also going to be setting up ambushes for their comm. We're going to try to cut their lines. We're going to try to jam them. They're going to be jamming us. They're going to try to break our lines. We're going to have inside spies to help disable or interrupt their comm or get comm. They're going to have spies on our side. Trickery, letting false information through, we definitely want to do that. So anytime comm, and I'll try to wrap this up here because I'm getting dark anyway, you can't see me anyway. This is good because now I'm in tactics and now you can't see my face. I don't even have to put a camo on. But anyway, remember, communication is key. There's a lot of ways to do it. There's a lot of ways to prevent it. There's a lot of ways to intercept it, stop it. And it's a constant evolving thing. Every time we find out something they're doing and they find out we know, they're going to change it. And then we got to find out their new thing, and then they're going to find out we know and they're going to change it. And when they find out that oh, how we're doing something, well, we're going to have to change it. But communication now, before it ends, is very critical. Where are you going to meet? How are you going to communicate? How are you going to get people together? Where are you going to go? And I just don't think there's going to be this massive, they're going to shut down communications in the U.S. anytime there's a big conflict, because they don't want people to be able to mass. They've already shut down Facebook when they're saying there's a massive protest or something. They'll just shut it down so people can't inform other people. So when they do that, there has to be an alternative move. You have to have things in